Hi, today we're going to go through some changes to the dynamic island in iOS 16.1, and I'm also going to update you on some things I've noticed since the last video. First, let's take a look at what's it like in landscape. In this orientation, the dynamic island is pretty much non-existent. Anything that pops out is in a separate island, and if you touch and hold it, it will expand in the top left corner. After a few seconds, it just goes right back into the camera cutout area. And the same thing goes for phone calls. It just pops out from the camera cutout area with the usual options, and when you answer the phone, it just goes right back inside, nowhere to be seen, so you cannot return to the call unless you go back to the home screen and then end it from there. Now let's look at some changes in iOS 16.1. The first thing is that when you plug in your phone when it's in landscape, it doesn't do this. Instead, there's a nice little indicator that pops out showing that it's charging and with a percentage, and it just disappears with a very subtle animation. The same thing happens with the low battery warning, just flashing a red icon instead. Now let's talk about reachability. Previously, when you activated it, it will not bring down the dynamic island, making it extremely hard to reach with one hand. But in iOS 16.1, they've changed it to fly down with everything else, so now we have two islands and it's fully functional as well. Great to see this change. Another thing they've improved is the spacing in the status bar. Before, when you had a phone call or a timer active, it would cover up two of the three icons in the status bar, only showing the battery indicator. But now when you swipe up from the app, you can see the Wi-Fi or the signal bars slowly slide in. This wasn't an issue with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, but with the 14 Pro, it's great to see that they used extra space for another icon. Another change is with Face ID in the Wallet app. Instead of the green icon just spinning and disappearing, we get a nice little face showing that it has detected and authenticated you. Another change is that the timer now has a new animation in the dynamic island. As you can see, when the time is ticking down, the seconds are rolling up, like a little flip clock. This is what it looked like before. Pretty much nothing to see here, except that it was a little bit smaller. And here is something that I've noticed from using this as my day-to-day phone. When you ask Siri to play some music or to start a timer, it pops out as a regular card on the lock screen. But when you ask Siri to do the same thing on the home screen, it actually expands the dynamic island instead, which is quite interesting to see the two different designs. So, these are the things that I've noticed or have changed since the last video with iOS 16.1. To finish off, let's compare the dynamic island to the status bar in iOS 7. So with phone calls, iOS 7 pushes the status bar down and turns it into a flashing green color, while the dynamic island just expands and shows a little waveform. With personal hotspot, however, on iOS 7 and pretty much any iPhone that does not have a notch, you can see how many devices are connected. And this has been missing since the release of the iPhone 10. I feel like now with the dynamic island, Apple could just put a little number to the right side of it. Let's hope that comes in a future software update. So that's it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave any comments in the comments section below, and subscribe for more. I'll see you all next time.